why, after I give birth, would all of a sudden I need supplementation? Something didn't sit right with me. And I think it's back to, well, maybe we didn't in the past because of how we lived, but we don't live outside all day, working all day and walking in the sun and playing in the sun. We don't do that anymore. And so it makes sense that supplementation would have to be something that we do, but it also made sense to me that I don't have to supplement my baby, that if it's coming through my breast milk, this should be something that I should be able to get enough of.
Getting pregnant and giving birth are two of the most exciting things you can ever hope to experience in this life. The moment you think you could be pregnant, you're frantically searching for all the best information, which is why you're here today. I'm Stephanie King, and with my many years of experience as a professional childbirth educator, doula, and lover of all things pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, I'm here to make preparing for your birth enjoyable, empowering, and totally easy. Each week, I'll cover different topics, interview professionals, and get into the nitty-gritty birth stories from mamas just like you. And when you're ready for more, you can join me in the My Essential Birth course at myessentialbirth.com, where I take you step by step through exactly how to prepare your mind, body, spirit, and partner for a birth you love. So let's get started.
Thank you, mamas, for being here. Our reviewer of the week is Boxer Lover 13. She says, obsessed. Stephanie is a fantastic host and touches on a multitude of topics and doesn't shy away from hard questions or realities surrounding birth. She interviews a variety of different birth workers and other related professionals, which brings light to the many options you truly have as a mom-to-be. The birth stories on the podcast are each unique and fascinating and so fun to listen to. After listening to a variety of episodes and completing her birth class, I felt beyond empowered and even more confident in my body to have an unmedicated home birth for my first child. I ended up delivering in a hospital due to premature rupture of membranes. However, I had the knowledge to back up my decision-making within the hospital setting and still had the birth of my dreams. Thank you for the work that you do, Stephanie. You are so blessed in your ability to reach women and are truly such a gift to our family. Thank you so much. And I'm telling you guys, I am leaning on you right now. I feel like, we go through these waves in life and I'm over here like everything in me is screaming like, be mom, be focused on being mom. And also I have a calling in this life to share this information, this knowledge, this good news that birth is normal and natural and wonderful, and that you have to be educated and understand the processes of it so that you can stand up for yourself and advocate for yourself and have the birth that you desire. And so it's why I'm here. And when I get these messages, you guys, I'm telling you, they really lift me up. And you must have known, or the Lord must have known, that I needed it recently, because I feel like I've been getting quite a lot of them. And so I just want to say thank you for everybody who takes time to reach out, and just that little bit of gratitude or hearing that you guys have been successful doing things. It makes me so happy. Okay, so kind of on this journey of feeling like I really need to focus on being mom and not wanting to miss the moment and all of that, I had shared in the Instagram stories just the other day. It was a repost. They have an accent and I don't know exactly where they're from. It's maybe Australian. No, maybe Australian. Anyways, they're going to hate me if that's not it. I'm so sorry. But it was at Liz and Sarah. I think that's it. Or Lice and Sarah, Lise and Sarah, Sarah. And I just reshared this clip. It was just this woman reading the story that I'm going to read to you now. But it resonated with me because this is what's coming up in my prayers. This is what's coming up in my thoughts. And I know that I'm supposed to relay it to you. So I couldn't even handle not crying listening to her saying it while I was trying to rewrite it. So I'm going to tell you right now that I'm probably going to cry, but luckily we get to edit these things. So if I really mess up, it won't all be in there. But I'm going to share this with you and the sentiment of it. And I hope you enjoy it and take it to heart as much as I did. So it goes like this. I'm 80 years old, and somehow I woke up in my 38-year-old body for just one day. Now, for me, I kind of put myself back in my 32-year-old body, okay? So wherever you're at in your journey. Mommy, wake up, they shout. I blink. I sit up slowly. My babies, they're all small again. I gasp. I cry. They climb into bed, giggling, wiggling. I used to rush through mornings, but not today. I catch my reflection in the bathroom mirror. No deep lines, no gray hair, my younger face. I used to think I looked so old at 38 or 32. What a silly thought. I stare for a moment and think, you are so beautiful. I find my husband in the kitchen making coffee. He looks strong and young. I wrap my arms around him so tightly and he looks surprised. We pile into the car, kids arguing over seatbelts, someone drops a snack, crumbs everywhere, and I used to get so frustrated. But I'll miss this. I will miss the mess. But I'll miss this mess. I will miss this mess. Dinner is loud and unorganized. No one wants to sit still. They're shouting and giggling and so much life. And before bed, I pick up the phone. I call my mom and I hear her voice. Mom, Mom. I haven't heard this voice in so many years. I tell her I love her again and again, and I never want to hang up. At bedtime, I don't skip the pages in the story. Not tonight. I don't want this day to end. I got one more day, and this time I knew. This was joy. This was love. Those little hands, the loud, messy dinners, our strong young bodies with no aches or pains, our parents who were still alive. It all mattered so much more than we ever realized. So I'm speaking to those moms that feel overwhelmed, that the mornings are hard and the days are long, and you're wondering when you're going to be out of diapers and stuff all over the floor at all times, and being done with diaper bags and car seats and the chaos of life. And you guys, I am not that much farther ahead of you, but I am far enough to promise you that it will be over so quick and you will miss those moments. And it's not lost on me that my kids are still not grown. Every single one of my children is still under our roof at this time. And we're in those final years before some of those children are going to move on, whether that's college or church missions or getting married and having babies of their own. And right now, it is so perfect and so beautiful. And so I'm totally aware that I'm right there. But my babies are not babies anymore. And you wonderful women that are giving birth right now, that are carrying this next generation of children, keep those moments close. You know, take the pictures, write in your journals, enjoy the reading at night. And it's okay. It is okay to feel overwhelmed and want the day to be over and to have those moments. And please do not rush through all of them, because in the blink of an eye, everything is a little bit different. And so this spoke to me. I hope it spoke to you. It's just a reminder for us to appreciate everything that we have in the moment that we have it. You know, I'm reading this and my parents are still alive and all my children are in my home, and what a blessing. And so for all of us who are here, I hope that we can slow down, even if just for today, and hold on to our babies and appreciate the extra book reading and appreciate the messy house and just love on each other like we should. Okay, now, don't ask me where that came from. I just think we needed to share that. But let's dive into today's episode. This is not going to be a crier for me. It's why do breastfed babies need vitamin D? Why are we talking about supplementing, or what is going on that our babies need this really hormone, which I'll get into in a minute. But what's going on? Let's kind of go through the back end and talk about some of this stuff. But I think it's probably something that's not really covered, whether that's in a birth class or in postpartum appointments. Yes, I cover this in my course, of course. Of course. Anyways, but vitamin D for your breast milk. Let's talk about something that's probably not covered enough, and it might not even come up in the birth class that you're taking. It's definitely in the My Essential Birth class, yes. But maybe you haven't heard this yet if you're taking one, or maybe you haven't heard it in any of your postpartum visits, or maybe you've had your baby and you're talking with your pediatrician and now they're like, we want to introduce these vitamin D drops, and you're like, wait, I'm trying to not put anything foreign into my baby's body at this moment. Tell me more. So let's go into and kind of get a little bit deeper into vitamin D, why it's important, Supplementation that's recommended for breastfed babies. I want to talk about what the science says, how sunshine plays a role, and let's go over all of those options so that you feel like you have a really good base to make an informed choice for you and your baby. Plus, I'm going to share some simple ways to support your recovery after birth too, because we're looking at the whole picture of postpartum wellness too. All right, so kind of that first question, why is vitamin D supplementation recommended for breastfed babies? Because isn't breast milk supposed to be completely whole and this superfood? Why do I need to supplement for my baby? So vitamin D supports bone growth and immune function. And as I mentioned before, it's more of a hormone than it is a vitamin and how it reacts with our bodies. And it's really just part of everything, our bodies and our baby's bodies, every cell. Now, the recommendation from like American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC is 400 IUs per day for all infants. So we know as a society, many of us know, now you know, that the majority of us we will test low, extremely low for vitamin D. And I've talked about that before, but a lot of it has to do with just our modern lifestyles, right? We spend a lot of time indoors. We spend our time in blue lights. We don't get outside and enjoy the sun like we should. And then we wear sunglasses, which stop our bodies, those UV rays from getting to our eyes and telling our bodies what to do with that sunlight. And so we get things like sunburns. And so we put sunscreen on and all of this stuff that can cause us to have to supplement it's not the way that nature intended for us to be living. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that we have homes and air conditioning and all this stuff that keeps us comfortable, but it does take away from the things that can be a benefit to us that are naturally there for us. So that's one of the reasons we talk about supplementation. Now, let's talk about deficiency just for a moment. So this would obviously be on the heavier side of things, but a baby that is extremely deficient in something like vitamin D can get something called rickets or really soft, weak bones. Okay, so we saw this a long time ago, back during Industrial Revolution, when we had a lot of smoke in the sky blocking the sunlight, kids not being able to get that sunlight. And so that should tell you right there that sunlight is probably going to be one of our best sources of this. Now, I'll get into that in a minute because, of course, we don't want to put a baby just straight out in the sun all day and all of that, especially a newborn baby. But the other thing it can cause is weakened immunity and delayed growth. We don't typically see these things in the United States very much anymore. And we can say some of that, is because of supplementation and stuff, but we're also a healthier people than we used to be. And we know a lot more now than we did back then. Now, the big thing is everybody says breast milk alone doesn't provide enough vitamin D. And if mom does not have proper amounts of vitamin D in her body, then that would be absolutely true. Formula is fortified. Breast milk is not. And so everyone says, the formula fed babies, that the supplementation exists in there, but breast milk doesn't have what we need. So we have to supplement. So let's talk about why breastfed babies might not be getting enough. Breast milk is naturally low in vitamin D. So even if mom has some vitamin D, what the baby is getting is going to be a lot less than what she has. So again, if that vitamin D is low, then baby can only grab, a small portion of what's already low. So most moms have low levels due to what we talked about, less time outdoors, use of sunscreens, less skin exposure. Those are kind of the main reasons that moms have that less vitamin D. And the average content that they're seeing in breast milk right now is 20 to 50 IUs per liter. So that's a lot less than we're hoping to get for a baby. And that's far below that 400 IU recommendation. Now, I want to assure you that there have been studies done, and it is positive in the way of when moms have a higher amount of vitamin D in their blood, that higher amount ends up with the baby. So there are studies that showed if we supplemented moms with 6,400 IUs of vitamin D a day, that would transfer to about 400 IUs for baby a day. So guess what? Moms, it has been shown that you can supplement with vitamin D, higher doses of vitamin D, and your baby will get what they need. So probably the best way to take care of this and double check and make sure that you have enough and that baby's getting enough would be some blood work. And whether or not you want to do that with your mainstream provider or you choose more of a holistic approach like a functional medicine doctor or holistic nutritionist, that's somebody that can take a panel for you and check those vitamin D levels and see where you're at, and then supplement and see where you're at. And then you should know what baby is getting. Yes, they can test the breast milk, or yes, they can test the baby's blood as well. But that was actually really comforting for me because I was one of those people that after I had my baby and the doctor told me I have to supplement, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I feel like our body is made to birth a baby. We literally grow an extra organ for this baby. Like our body in every way is meant to have children. So why, after I give birth, would all of a sudden I need supplementation? Something didn't sit right with me. And I think it's back to, well, maybe we didn't in the past because of how we lived, but we don't live outside all day, working all day and walking in the sun and playing in the sun. We don't do that anymore. And so it makes sense that supplementation would have to be something that we do, but it also made sense to me that I don't have to supplement my baby, that if it's coming through my breast milk, this should be something that I should be able to get enough of. And so there are different schools of thought on safety and efficacy of supplementing at high amounts of vitamin D. So again, this is something you do under the care of your provider. However, I will tell you that it is very common and a holistic approach to do this way. And in fact, women who are not pregnant or breastfeeding prenatally or postpartum or even during pregnancy are absolutely taking like about 10,000 IUs. That's not uncommon for moms to be taking on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And it's been shown to improve all kinds of things. So without offering medical advice or anything like that, I want you to know that the studies exist. And this is certainly something to talk to your provider about. If you have a mainstream provider and they're like, that doesn't sound right, or maybe they don't have the information. And a lot of that just is like backlogged or like we're hearing and seeing now as we have known, but those providers are not given a lot of nutrition information, then reach out to a functional medicine, holistic provider. And as with anyone, make sure that you vet and switch around as needed. You want somebody that's going to be directly what you're looking for. But there are other people that we can reach out to kind of get that full information. All right, before we keep going, I just want to drop this here. If you are looking for some postpartum support and you're like, I just need some checklists, some guides, like tell me what I need to be doing postpartum, help me walk through this, we've got you covered. So myessentialbirth.com/postpartum. And in case you haven't downloaded that yet, it's a full postpartum guide, like everything you're going to need postpartum. I don't remember how many pages it is, but it's pretty and it's ready for you. And we'd love for you to go grab that. So if you haven't gotten it yet, do that. I'll make sure to put it in the show notes as well. Let's talk about the pros of supplementing with vitamin D, because there are some positives should you choose to go this route. So yes, you can supplement yourself instead of supplementing your baby should you choose to. If you would like to supplement your baby, let's talk about some pros and cons of supplementation. Pros, obviously, it's easy to give. It's usually just one drop on baby's tongue. It's affordable and they say it's low risk. So this is where we say low risk in the way of they're not seeing, big abnormalities or signs or symptoms that something is really wrong in the way of supplementation. But it doesn't mean that there are no risks associated with it. So anytime that we put something into baby's body that isn't put there naturally, there can be side effects from that. So certainly make sure to look into all the leaflets and pamphlets and speak with your provider and all of that stuff too. It's a consistent dose regardless of your sun exposure or of mom's levels. So if you are concerned, oh shoot, I haven't been really good at supplementing myself, or we're not getting into the sun, either one of us, then that could be something that you look at. It does help prevent rickets and it supports immune health. So those have both been studied and that is certainly the case. And sometimes it can be that peace of mind, just like I said, if we've got limited outdoor activities or you just have your own stresses postpartum. Although I will say that higher amounts of vitamin D have been shown to help moms with postpartum mood disorders and generally just feeling well postpartum too. So keep that in mind. Definitely something to I think every mom would benefit from getting just a full panel of, and probably more so on the holistic side because of the way that they look at things. Just hear me out there. If you're more mainstream, it's totally fine. And yes, you can get a blood panel mainstream, but I have seen different providers and the way that they look at this information. And I'm telling you that the more holistic provider is going to go deeper into each of those sections and nutrients and vitamins and all of that stuff, hormones, than your regular provider is. And it's because of the training and information that they have. So definitely worth doing at least that just to get some information. It's super interesting, if nothing else. So some of the concerns with that would be if we're introducing something foreign into baby's gut, what are the effects of that? because their guts are full of all of these really good microbes and healthy bacteria and just things that help a baby to thrive and grow and stay healthy, and all these immune defenses and stuff and all this good stuff that we get from our breast milk. So introducing something foreign can kind of upset what is happening in the gut. And we know now more than ever that what's happening in the gut affects the rest of the body. So definitely something to be thinking about. Occasionally, there are minor side effects such as tummy upset. So you give drops and you notice all of a sudden we've got a grumpy baby. That can definitely be a side effect. That's something to pay attention to. The other thing is babies don't like the taste, which I'm like, that kind of says something. You know, if the baby is not loving the taste of it, what is it in there that's really bothering them? Is it more than just the flavor? And then many over-the-counter brands contain unwanted ingredients. So you have to keep in mind they'll have artificial flavors, they'll have preservatives, vegetable oils, added sugars, coloring, all these things that we're like, no, we're trying to stay away from these things ourselves while we're pregnant and postpartum. And here we are introducing them to, you know, the brand new baby of the earth and all of their beautiful perfectness in their little gut. We're going to throw all this stuff in there. That can be concerning for some moms. Now, what's in your vitamin D supplement? Always read the label because different companies, different manufacturers are going to have different ingredients listed there. But they do make clean brands that have just 2 ingredients, which would be vitamin D and a carrier oil. And that could be like coconut oil or MCT. So that's something that you can look for. Definitely try to avoid the ones that have artificial colors or sweeteners, extra oils or additives. They're unnecessary and they're not good for baby. So you have that option. Even if you choose to supplement with the drops, you don't have to have all the yucky stuff in it. So now that you know that you have some options, you can go searching for the best supplement if that's the way you want to go. I think choosing a clean brand can bring peace of mind, and it's also something better for baby's gut when we're talking about these new babies. Can baby get enough vitamin D from sunlight? And this might surprise you, but the answer is yes. Yes, they can. So vitamin D is actually made from the sunlight. Your body turns that cholesterol into D3, and that's kind of that hormone that we were talking about, the hormone of vitamin D. So 10 to 30 minutes of sun a few times per week can actually be enough. And that's not too much to burn your baby. Obviously, you're not going to sit them just in the hot sun in the middle of the day for 30 minutes, but you can put them in that nice hot sun for a couple of minutes, a couple times a day. And different times of the day, you're going to get more exposure to vitamin D, but with that gentle skin, you know, you ease into it. And this will go back to no sunscreen and no little shades on. Now you can have like a hat or whatever, but you want that skin, at least for like the head and stuff, but you want that skin to be exposed to vitamin D. Now let me tell you a little bit about my experience since myself and my family stopped wearing sunglasses this last year. And it's actually been a little over a year, but this summer, and it was actually before the summer. Mind you, we're in Florida, so summer not being like June. But we were out in the sun, and we'd have long days in the sun, and we're in Florida, and those UV rays are high, and people get burned really fast here. Not one of us got a sunburn that we peeled from. Now, my son did actually just recently get a sunburn, but he was in direct spot for some time, and it was the back of his neck, which hadn't seen some sun and all of that. But this is my first year in many years where I didn't get a sunburn and didn't have some peeling, even if it was mild, because I don't really go out and burn myself a ton by any means. But this year, we all have these like nice brownish tans and that glowy skin that just, it looks healthy. And that is because when we put sunglasses on, we are blocking UV rays coming into our eyes that tell our body to produce melanin. And melanin is that darker skin that you see. It's our natural sun protectant. It's our natural sunscreen. So what we do is we pour sunscreen all over us and put our sunglasses on and our hats, and we don't enjoy the benefits of getting the vitamin D and the melanin and all the good stuff from the sun. So same with your baby. You want to have that baby out in the sun for small amounts of time. And it's a good idea anyways, because I'm constantly telling you moms that the best thing that you can do to not have some of the more serious things from like the postpartum mood disorders, anxiety, depression, those kinds of things, is to get out in the sun and be walking every day. And I say do 2 15-minute walks, do 2 30-minute walks, but get yourself out in the sun and take your baby with you and allow them to have some sun exposure at the same time. And it's really, really good for that. And part of the reason for it is because of the vitamin D that you're making. The sunlight feels good and warm on your skin. You're getting the fresh air. You're looking at nature. You're moving your body and your cardio is happening. There are a lot of reasons I tell you to go outside and walk and be in the sun, but vitamin D exposure is one of them. And now you know it's good for your baby too. Now, if your baby is a lighter skin tone, then you're going to need a little bit less time in the sun. And if you have a darker skin tone, then that baby is going to need more time in the sun. So keep that in mind as well. Also, your location and season. If you give birth now and it's sunny and it's wherever you live right now, it's summertime and you can be outside in the sun, then wonderful. I remember when I had my second baby in Germany and it was cold outside. He was a March baby and we had a little playpen and we put our son right there with it right in front of the window and the sun coming down. And he was a little bit jaundiced. So that was another reason. But proof, right? We didn't have to take him home with the lights or anything. And the German doctors just told us, no, put him in the sun, which I think we need a little bit more of here. So that is definitely a way that you can do it. But your location and season will make a difference because the closer you are to the equator, the better sun exposure you're going to get. And the farther away you are, the worse that exposure is going to get. And then if you add the seasons in with that, maybe we're talking about supplementation, whether that's for baby or whether that's for mom for the breast milk. Also, the time of day and how much skin is exposed. So if the big cool thing to do right now, this makes me sound old because all of you probably do this. And I have been doing it myself too. So there's, no judgment. But all the hip thing that all the kids are doing is they check the UV rays every day. They're like, oh, I'm not even tanning if it's not at 9, And they're usually at 9 or 10 or even 11 sometimes. And it's in the afternoon, right? 12 to 3 p.m. is kind of that hour, the hours or the space, the window that you would want to be out in the sun to grab the most benefit from it. And it also matters how much skin is exposed. So if you're covered up all over and you don't really, it's just the palms of or the tops of your hands or the palms of their hands, that's not going to be enough. They should definitely have some skin open to be able to catch the rays of the sun. All right, so let's go back over those options. You can supplement with a clean brand of vitamin D, and you want to do that 400 IUs a day. Mom can supplement at a minimum of 6,400 is what was shown per the study, and I'll include that in the show notes so you guys can take a look. 6,400 IUs per day helps baby to get 400 IUs. You can also make sure that you are testing before and after you supplement vitamin D for yourself to make sure that that is actually happening. You can also test baby's breast milk or their blood to make sure that the transfer is happening. But if you have it, it's very likely that it's in your breast milk, so probably not too much to worry about. You can add outdoor time for both you and your baby and make sure that you are both getting your bodies in the sun. Probably one of the best things that you can do if you are concerned at all, and depending on where you live and what time of year it is supplementing for mom and getting baby out in the sun as best you can, kind of rotating those two things to kind of make sure that you're definitely getting enough. Obviously, you can combine any of these strategies for your family and make sure that you are speaking with a provider along the way. This is great information, but it's definitely something you want to take back to your provider and have a really solid conversation with them about to make sure that you're doing what's best for you and your baby. But I want to encourage you to listen to and trust that mama gut, to get all the information, to ask lots of questions, and then to choose what aligns with your values and what your baby needs. I also want to reiterate that you're not doing anything wrong should you choose to supplement. And that's a perfectly great way to give that baby the vitamin D that they need should you choose to do that. Breast milk is amazing. And sometimes we need a little support along the way. So whether that's the supplementation or making sure that we get what we need, I do think it's worth it for you to look into your levels of vitamin D and what you can do, especially like even prenatally. If you are pregnant right now, I think that's a wonderful thing that you can do because vitamin D definitely plays a role in how we feel and how our body functions in life. So prenatally, postpartum, at any time during life. So if you have an idea of where you're at with that, that'll be one less thing you have to worry about postpartum postpartum. Now, before you go, I want to make sure that you're supported postpartum, and that's why we created the guide. So if you haven't grabbed that yet, I'm going to say it again here. It's myessentialbirth.com/postpartum. You can grab it, and it's got everything you need to make your postpartum just that much easier. So it's like you don't even have to think about it. You just have everything you need right there in one spot. I'll also put it in the show notes. And again, if you're an email subscriber, I will put it there. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it, particularly on social media and with your friends. If you do share it on social media, make sure that you tag me at My Essential Birth. Tell me what your favorite thing was or what your takeaway was, and I'll make sure to repost it on our stories. And as always, if you have any questions or you want to connect with me on social media, hit me up and I will message you back in those DMs. But until next time, I hope you have a great week, and I am cheering you on.
If you loved what you heard today, the very best way to support this podcast and help other moms to find it is to leave a quick review. I read one at the beginning of the episodes, and I would love for yours to be next. And if you're ready for even more pregnancy, birth, and postpartum goodness, come join me in the My Essential Birth course at myessentialbirth.com, where I will hold your hand and walk you through pregnancy and birth step by step so you're totally prepared for a birth you'll love. See you next week.